courthouse burned down to the ground in Rome, Georgia. Is there a connection to the Orange Man? Thank you for tuning in to Game Changer TV. I'm your host, Terri Lynn, and this is the channel where every day we're telling it like it is. Today is March 24th, 2026, and I apologize for my voice. I'm just now getting it back. I hope I can make it through the whole video. I appreciate y'all's prayers. I've been under constant attack for the last month with Joshua and the hospitals and the neighbors and the police, and getting turned over by one of his new doctors that I met for 5 minutes in the home, that I got in an argument with him over, told him to get out of my house. He was not welcome because of what he was saying. So I filed a complaint against him with the nursing board because he was a nurse practitioner functioning as a doctor, and I turned him in. Well, then when he got investigated, he turned around and contacted adult services on me, that I was mean to Joshua, that I was emotionally abusive to Joshua. So adult services showed up. Then I had to go to court with Josh. Then what else happened? All kind of crazy stuff. Oh, then the yard man was weed eating, and he threw a rock and shattered my window on my car, on my driver's side of my car. So I had to go deal with get my window replaced and tint put back on my window. Then for the last week, I've been solid sick, barely able to get out of the bed, but I'm still having to get out of the bed to take care of Josh and his needs and his emotional needs and redirecting his behaviors. It has been a hard month. I have been fighting devils left and right, dealing with the eviction, just all kind. Right now they've calmed down on it, but I think it's about to start back up, but that's another whole story. But it has been one thing after another. So y'all bear with me with my voice. I'm doing all I can to be up to make this. But so let's talk about this courthouse that just burned down to the ground. And is there an Orange Man connection?
I can feel the heat right here, standing on the bridge. It is fully on fire. There's a truck here keeping this side up. Oh man, oh, it's not good. Here comes some more fire. Not good. Here comes another. Engine 2 is on the scene. Engine 2 is on the scene now. It is really a burden.
Is there an Orange Man connection? Are y'all ready for this? Let's wait till we get into this. Devastating. Floyd County's 1893 courthouse goes up in flames. Rome, Georgia historic courthouse deemed a total loss after fire rips through the building. It was hard for natives to see the historic Floyd County courthouse in downtown Rome go up in flames on Monday. So that was the picture of the courthouse prior to the fire. And this is downtown Rome with the courthouse steeple in the background. It was iconic.
A landmark of Georgia's history was reduced to ruins on Monday as a massive fire tore through the Floyd County Historic Courthouse in downtown Rome. The blaze, which was first discovered around 2:20 p.m., quickly escalated, sending thick plumes of black smoke across the city skyline and drawing crowds of stunned onlookers. The intensity of the fire proved too much for the 134-year-old structure. Within hours of the first report, the courthouse's iconic bell tower, a staple of the Rome skyline since 1892, succumbed to the flames and collapsed. Firefighters from the Rome Floyd County Fire Department were forced into a defensive posture, working tirelessly to prevent the inferno from spreading to adjacent buildings in the historic Government Plaza. At the time of the disaster, the Romanesque Revival building was undergoing extensive renovations funded by local and federal grants. While the structure served as the active office for the Floyd County Tax Commissioner, officials confirmed that all employees and construction workers were safely evacuated before the fire spiraled out of control. By Monday evening, the courthouse was declared a total loss. City and county leaders described the event as a heartbreaking blow to the community's heritage, marking the end of over a century of civic history. As investigators sift through the smoldering debris to determine the cause of the spark, the county is already looking toward emergency funding to relocate essential services.
Is there a connection to Trump, Georgia, and Marjorie Taylor Greene? Now, the reason why I'm invested in this story is that I lived in Rome, Georgia from 2013 to 2022. I've been to that exact courthouse over 20 times. Every year, having to get my car tags, my RV registration, my RV tags, the title to my car when I paid off the loan in 2021, and for things associated with Josh. I made a video of me sitting in that parking lot of that courthouse August 8th, 2019, almost 7 years ago, sitting right there. And I'm crying because Josh got picked up for being in a meltdown in our front yard. And when the police came, because I wanted him to go to the hospital, he struck the police. They took him to jail. They held him without bail. He was being assaulted in the jail. They held him without bail to get a psych eval done on him. I said he's been mentally incompetent since birth. And the judge looked at the paperwork and he said, well, this is a Louisiana doctor determined this. We need different criteria here in Georgia. So he's going to be held without bail until we can get the psych eval done on him. And he was being violated during that time. So this is me crying out in the car because I could not get him bail in the parking lot of that courthouse.
My heart is broken. They denied Joshua bond. They don't nothing to do that their own behavior did not contribute to their disability. And sometimes I just feel like I'm just in this silent scream and nobody even hears me screaming.
So I'm just shocked. I know this building, I know this town, I know the people in the town. So I've been sick all week, and yesterday a friend of mine sent me an article that the courthouse was on fire in Georgia. I was just floored. I was just floored. Okay? So I'm very interested in this story, the connection between Trump, Georgia, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Y'all need to buckle up for this. So I just found this in a video. That's where I was parked, where that yellow line is, where I was parked when I made my video. So there's the building on fire, and there's where I was sitting in front of that truck in my video. That's from Google Earth. Is there a connection? Let's jump into this. Trump in Rome, Georgia. 1 month prior Just 1 month earlier than the fire in Georgia, Trump was in Rome, Georgia. President of the United States visits Rome, Georgia on February 19, 2026. The visit of President Donald J. Trump yesterday required an incredible amount of preparation, coordination, and professionalism from agencies across our community. We want to extend our sincere appreciation to our local peace officers, emergency personnel, public safety partners, and supporting agencies who work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the safety of our residents and visitors. These men and women train, prepare, and plan long before the public ever sees the operation in motion. Their commitment to readiness and service is what allows our community to function smoothly, even on the busiest days. We are grateful for their professionalism, teamwork, and dedication to keeping Rome, Georgia safe. Thank you for your service. It says Trump to visit Rome, Georgia as early voting begins in the 14th District special election. Decision 2026. President Donald Trump is set to visit West Georgia on Thursday, February 19th, the White House confirms. The visit comes as early voting is underway in the special election to fill the House seat former Representative Majorie Taylor Greene vacated the position in January. When did Trump visit Rome, Georgia? President Trump visited Rome, Georgia on February 19th, just 1 month before the fire. During this visit, he toured the Coosa Steel Corporation, promoted his America First economic agenda, and held a rally to support his endorsement for the 14th District special election. My throat is starting to hurt. Purpose. The visit focused on tax cuts, lower energy costs, and campaigning ahead of the State of the Union address. He visited Coosa Steel and stopped at the Varsity in Rome, notes Georgia Public Broadcasting and the WhiteHouse.gov. The visit occurred shortly after voting began in the district, as reported by YouTube from Georgia Public Broadcasting. So Trump is in town 1 month before the fire, visiting the Varsity. He visited Coosa Steel and stopped at the Varsity in Rome. Okay. It says from the Rome Courthouse to the Varsity is 0.6 miles. So that's how close Trump was to the courthouse, 0.6 miles. And he would have gone down 8th Street. This one says it's 0.7 miles. Protesters greet him on 8th Street. We showed up and showed out. Rome, Georgia greeted the orange dumpster with chants of Trump grapes kids. There were a couple of 100+ people stretching up Turner McCall from Hardee's to Broad Street and down to H Street. A&F was there interviewing us for 3 hours, but didn't run a story. So Trump drove towards the courthouse with people protesting him being there and accusing him of being a rapist. And he's driving by it and seeing it. Protesters turn out for President Trump's visit to Rome. So I made a note. On February 19th, Trump was in Majorie Taylor Greene's district and her town when he saw these protesters that were calling him a child rapist. He had to drive past the historic courthouse that was a landmark to Rome, Georgia. It was a beautiful building, y'all. The inside was gorgeous. 5 weeks later, the courthouse is burned down to the ground while Trump is riding past these people who were mocking him in Majorie Taylor Greene's district. Trump's route would have driven him past the old courthouse, where I'm sure this did not sit well for a man with an ego. His arch enemy, Majorie Taylor Greene, hometown, and people protesting him being there and accusing him of things like the Epstein list. But is there a connection between Trump, the fire, and Marjorie Taylor Greene? So there it is on Google Earth. The background where the mountains are so pretty. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district office in Rome, Georgia was located in the federal building on West 1st Street, not directly on Broad. The office was located in the federal building, 600 East 1st Street in Rome, Georgia. Okay. It was 0.4 miles from the courthouse. So Trump is driving around Rome, Georgia. I'm sure she's a thorn in his flesh. What does Trump think about Marjorie Taylor Greene? Key aspects of Trump's view as of late 2025: traitor and disloyalty. Trump has publicly broken with her, labeling her a traitor and a rotten apple after she defied him on the Jeffrey Epstein files legislation. Wacky and far left. He has accused her of turning into a very dumb person and going far left, according to PBS. Political retaliation. Trump indicated he would support a primary challenger against her. This is before she announced her resigning. Now, the month that Trump was in Rome, Georgia, the month before the fire, Marjorie Taylor Greene, his traitor, excuse me, was just putting the screws to him, taunting him. I'm sure he did not like it. 1 month before the fire, the same month that Trump was driving in Rome, Georgia, former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene slammed President Trump's decision to launch major strikes in Iran in a push to dismantle its nuclear efforts and push for regime change. So she's criticizing him on Iran. Marjorie Taylor Greene slams MAGA was all a lie and claims Trump is only serving big donors. Marjorie Taylor Greene rips Iran strikes as Trump betraying America first. It's always a lie, and it's always America last. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MAGA was a lie. The snake oil salesman selling the lie. Marjorie Taylor Greene revisits Trump feud, issues stark warning to MAGA over the Epstein files. So this is all the month before the fire. Marjorie Taylor Greene accuses Trump of putting rich donor class and foreign policy before America first. Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Trump looms in Georgia congressional special election. Marjorie Taylor Greene sounds alarm on insane way Trump may try to block election. Former Trump ally Marjorie Taylor Greene sounds alarm on MAGA over midterms. Good luck trying to get women to vote for you. Marjorie Taylor Greene calls Trump's endorsement of Salazar an insult to his base. And Marjorie Taylor Greene criticizes Trump administration. I'm not in a cult. So she let him know she's gone way off the reservation of the Trump reservation. This was 10 days after Trump was in Rome, Georgia, about 3 weeks before the fire. Former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene issued a pointed response on X after President Donald Trump declared on Saturday that Iran's supreme leader was dead and vowed continued bombing. While opening with "Great, Mr. President, good job," Greene quickly shifted to domestic concerns, arguing that ordinary Americans, not the Iranian people who voted for you, are struggling financially. She cited all-time high credit card debt, unaffordable housing, and rising insurance costs, contrasting those hardships with foreign military action. Greene warned that younger generations would bear the long-term consequences of mounting national debt, writing that in 10 years they will be left with over $50 trillion in debt and no Social Security. "We campaigned on America first," she said, "and this is not it." About a week after Trump's visit to Rome, White House fires back after Marjorie Taylor Greene predicts the end of MAGA. She resigned the first week of January. So in February and March, the 2 months leading up to the fire, she was not even a congresswoman anymore, but she's still monitoring Trump, still commenting on what he's doing, which I totally agree with everything that she's saying. But for a narcissist and a person with a huge ego and insecurities, she was getting under his skin, okay? And he was in her town being trolled by people that didn't like him and bringing up Epstein stuff while he's driving down her street. So this was 2 days before Trump was in Georgia, in Rome. Trump brands Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor after she details hundreds of death threats that she was receiving. And this was on the day of him being there. Donald Trump campaigns in Georgia to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene. Trump arrived in Rome in Georgia's 14th congressional district ahead of March 10th special election to replace Greene, who resigned. So Marjorie and Trump have this huge feud going, and he was in Rome, Georgia. Listen to what she says right here.
We bombed Iran on behalf of Israel. Yes, it was on behalf of Israel. We're entering a nuclear war, the World War III, because the entire world is going to erupt. And you want to know the people that are cheering it on right now? Their tune is going to drastically change the minute we start seeing flag-draped coffins on the nightly news, on Fox News that brainwashes all the baby boomers, and on CNN that brainwashes all the Democrat baby boomers. And that is exactly how this is going to go down.
So we're looking at things that happened prior to the fire. We're getting context. We're getting storylines. So in March, Marjorie Taylor Greene was still, getting under Trump's skin in March. Greene questioned Trump's mental state. "We're in another effing war." Greene says Iran war hurts Vance's chance of succeeding. Marjorie Taylor Greene sparks buzz over Trump's third-term talk. Marjorie Taylor Greene says she believes Trump wants to run for a third term. "I don't think he's joking." Marjorie Taylor Greene warns Trump administration's war in Iran could cost Republicans the midterms. Marjorie Taylor Greene excoriates Trump after he says gender-affirming care is okay if the parents approve. So he's changing his opinion on everything he was elected for. Marjorie Taylor Greene slams Trump for putting America last. Marjorie Taylor Greene on Trump trying to cancel midterms due to Iran war. Yeah, I could see it. 6 days before the fire. 6 days before the fire, Marjorie Taylor Greene says Trump does not deserve a peace prize, and y'all know how bad Trump wants that peace prize.
in. He's planning on sending more troops to the region, we're told. It's not clear exactly what they'll do while they're there, a Marine group. Is that something you support?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I like many millions and millions of Americans are outraged by this. He never came to America and addressed the nation and gave clear reasons why we would go to war with Iran. Especially after he told us back in the summer that he had completely obliterated all of their nuclear capabilities and had even chastised any news organization or media that said otherwise. And the reality is there are so many innocent people dying. I mean, the little girl's school is such an outrage. It's horrific. And Americans, we don't want to think of our military as being responsible of killing little children. This is absolutely something that Americans should not tolerate, and we are owed answers.
You're someone who once said you thought that there was no one more deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize than President Trump. Obviously, he's long sought one. Do you think that there's any way he could still get one given this war?
You know, at one time when he wanted to be the president of peace and he wanted to end wars and constantly talked about no more foreign wars, no ending wars, of course I thought he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. But do I think he deserves it now? No, absolutely not.
And that was 6 days before the courthouse in Marjorie Taylor Greene's town, her district, burnt down to the ground when she said he doesn't deserve the Peace Prize 6 days before. She was still getting under his skin. She still has a house in Rome. Marjorie Taylor Greene owns a home in Rome, okay? So she still lives there. Trump's driving around in her town, looking at her town, seeing her people, criticizing him. She's criticizing, saying he doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. He's got little man syndrome and narcissism, a sociopath, a psychopath, and she is challenging him. Can't y'all feel it building? And the fact that she resigned and still being this vocal against his policies, I'm sure he is livid because he can't call Mike Johnson and say, hey, get your girl under control. She is speaking for herself. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene a thorn in Trump's side? Yes, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene became a significant thorn in Trump's side in late 2025. Despite being a long-term loyalist, her defiance regarding the Epstein files, criticism of his policies as not America first, and calls for foreign policy shifts caused a major rift, leading Trump to label her a traitor and a ranting lunatic. She quit, citing safety concerns. Does Marjorie Taylor Greene still live in Rome, Georgia? Based on reports from late 2025 and early 2026, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who resigned from Congress effective January 5th, 2026, was still associated with her hometown of Rome, Georgia, as noted in this YouTube video. She announced her resignation to focus on her family following safety concerns, including incidents of her home being targeted, and her son had multiple threats on his life. So she resigns January 6th. 6 weeks later, Trump is in Rome, Georgia, while she's still criticizing him. 5 weeks later, the Rome courthouse burns down. So I just Googled on my phone, how many weeks is it from the time Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned on January 6th to the time the courthouse in her town burnt down? There are 10 weeks and 6 days between January 6th and March 23rd. This is a total of 76 days. So 13 days. 13 let's see, 13, 76 days. And when you add the 7 and the 6, you get 13. Okay? 76 days from the time she resigned to the courthouse in her backyard on fire and burning down to the ground. And in between that time, Trump was there. So, is there a connection to the fire, Trump voting, and Marjorie Taylor Greene? Again, he's riding around in her town near her old office area in her congressional district. She's taunting him, and he's not liking this. Here she's basically saying that the Republican congressmen, don't even like Trump.
The Republican Party is not the party of Trump. The Republican Party is still has the establishment. Like I said, they are clinging to it, and they are wanting to ride through his second administration like a speed bump, get past Trump and move on back to what they care about: foreign wars, spending untold amounts of the American people's dollars. They don't care about Doge. They're annoyed with Doge. That's cutting programs that they receive donations for from lobbyists that go all over the hill. I think I really wanted to sound the alarm because the wake-up call needs to be given, and the message needed to be delivered right here to the people that I work with here in Washington is that, look, we are paying attention. And if I'm upset and speaking out about it, you better believe people at home are furious. I want to speak goodness and love and hope into the women standing behind me and all of the other survivors whose names you don't even know, but stand with these women. They are survivors, and they are strong, and they are courageous, and they are daughters of God. They are not victims. These women have fought the most horrific fight that no woman should have to fight, and they did it by banding together and never giving up. And that's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world, even the President of the United States, in order to make this vote happen today. I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
Not releasing the Epstein files. Fuck Majorie Taylor Greene. I don't care what you do. Start a fucking war. Just don't let them get out. If I go down, I will bring all of you down with me.
That fight to release the Epstein files came directly from President Trump. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but that is the truth. He fought the hardest to stop these files from being released.
Donald Trump is the mob boss. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are only the soldiers.
That fight to release the Epstein files came directly from President Trump. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but that is the truth. He fought the hardest to stop these files from being released.
Donald Trump is the mob boss. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are only the soldiers.
Equating Trump to a mob boss. Would a mobster burn down a building? Let's keep going.
Here's the interesting part. Okay, there were only 4 Republicans, only 4 of us that signed that discharge petition: Thomas Massie, myself, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. Now, what was happening in the background for months leading up to when we finally got it released is we were getting pressure from the White House. We were getting pressure from the speaker. Do not take your name off this discharge petition. And we're like, why? We're talking about the Epstein files. This is the ultimate promise This is the ultimate way to provide transparency. This is the ultimate way to take it to the deep state and expose a whole criminal cabal of rich, powerful elites that I believe control everything. And guess what? Come to find out, they do.
They do.
And so we're like, why? So in the meantime, President Trump is calling it Epstein, the whole thing a hoax. Yeah. He's calling it a Democrat hoax. He won't have anything to do with the women. He still refuses to have anything to do with these women. So this whole thing is building. The women are saying President Trump did nothing wrong. They still say this. President Trump did nothing wrong.
I know.
Their attorney says Donald Trump's the only one that helped us. And guess what? That came out in the Epstein file.
Along with, I think she's scared to death right here, because along with the 13-year-old giving birth to the baby on Lake Michigan and him throwing the baby over, and all the documented lawsuits that Trump is settling with juveniles and minors right now in court, all that's come out. I think she's scared to death to speak on certain things, but let's keep going.
That he reported Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So but Donald Trump is fighting it. President Trump is fighting it. President Trump is yelling at me. The White House is putting pressure on Nancy Mace. They take Lauren Boebert in a skiff. I don't even know what they said to her in there. They are attacking Thomas Massie, nonstop attacking Thomas Massie. And then one day I get a phone call from the president in September, and he is so mad at me. And he's yelling at me, and he's angry at me. And the fact that he's like, you're supporting Rand Paul Jr., and he's chewing me out for signing my name on Thomas Massie's discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And I'm trying to tell him, Mr. President, they say you did nothing wrong. Right. This needs to come out. Right. And so we're having this argument. And he tells me on this phone call, he's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
That's it. That was Majorie Taylor Greene telling all about the ways in which this administration is fighting not to keep their campaign promise of releasing the Epstein files, but the express opposite.
To politics now. One day after Congresswoman Majorie Taylor Greene announced those surprising plans to resign, the president is again calling his former ally a traitor. CBS's Willie James Inman is in Washington with the latest.
A day after Republican Representative Majorie Taylor Greene announced her plans to resign, President Trump took aim at the Georgia Congresswoman.
I just disagreed with her philosophy. She started backing perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history, stupid person named Massey. And I said, go your own way.
The president once again called Greene a traitor in a Saturday morning social media post. Greene says she will step down in January.
I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for.
Now her district has suffered the courthouse fire.
Greene had been a devoted Trump follower, but parted ways with the president in recent months as she pushed for the Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Georgia Republican says she has faced threats after the president's sharp criticism last week. In a social media post on Saturday morning, Greene told her followers, "There are no leaders that will save this country, but you, the American people, can." Also on Saturday, President Trump said the U.S. proposed peace deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war is not a final offer.
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago.
So their falling out really came to a head over Epstein because he didn't want her to push any more for it to be released. She was pushing for the victims to get justice. They had a falling out. Her son started getting threats on his life. She resigned, and he calls her a traitor. She was also opposing him on AI and releasing AI unrestrained for 10 years.
But you said you have problems with the bill, just like Elon Musk has said. I mean, can you echo some of the concerns that he has?
I have one serious problem with the bill, and that is destroying state rights and federalism to allow AI to run rampant over 10 years. And AI, I think, is one of the most unknown and unpredictable industries going forward. And I can tell you right now, if you look up the jobs that AI will replace, I'm looking at every single one of you. And over the next 10 years, all of the people here in the press, your jobs will be replaced by AI.
Some of his executive orders: ensuring national policy framework for artificial intelligence. From AI.gov, this is Trump's website, how we're advancing AI. Executive orders. Now, these are all of them. Promoting export of American AI technology, accelerating data centers, advancing AI in education. And Majorie Taylor Greene is concerned about AI taking over everything.
By AI. And I am 100% opposed, and I will not vote for any bill that destroys federalism and takes away states' rights, the ability to regulate and make laws when it regards humans and AI. And this is a warning shot for everyone. I don't care what your political party is. I do not care if you hate my guts or you love me or you don't care about me whatsoever. I think every single human matters. And I think this is an issue I'll go to the mat on. I love many of the policies because they fund the president's campaign promises. I can also say I don't like the price tag. I can agree with Elon there. I can agree with the president on the good things in the bill. But I can also tell every single Republican in the House and the Senate, I don't care what you change it to, if you are destroying state rights, I'm out.
Then she says that Trump's policies will bring in the mark of the beast.
She says here, Congress is secretly pushing for a cashless society, citing the mark of the beast.
The groundwork is being laid, currency that can be controlled by the federal government. I've read the Bible and I believe what Revelations 13, 16 through 17 says, and I just cannot vote for a future system that will do that.
She's a deal made by the president to make sure that included was going to be the central bank digital currency. There'd be no possibility of a backdoor to get that. So where are we?
Steve, let me explain something. In 1971, we went off of the gold standard. The Federal Reserve did that. And we went to cash, a cash society. And the value of the dollar has drastically gone down to the buying power is less than 10 cents now from where it was in the 1950s before we went off the gold reserve. What's happening today on July 17th in 2025 when no one is paying attention, no one's talking about it, everyone is in blind rage about the Epstein files, and I don't blame them. However, right now, what is being voted on today in Congress is the entire setup, groundwork, and entire infrastructure being laid to move from cash to digital currency. And the number one thing that is not happening today is a ban on a central bank digital currency. This means the ability for the government to take control of your digital bank account where all your money is and turn it off. And there will be no ban on a central bank digital currency. There will be no way to protect your ability to fully control your digital currency in the future. And I'm voting no to this today. I don't know if there'll be any other no votes on the Republican side, but I'm voting no to this because I'm a Christian and I've read the Bible and I believe what Revelations 13, 16 through 17 says. And I just cannot vote for a future system that will do that.
And here's the scripture she was quoting, Revelation 13, 15 through 16. And he, the Antichrist, had power, the beast, the second beast, had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. Now, y'all think about this. She was Trump's biggest ally, and she's voting against a lot of his legislation because AI will run rampant. It'll hurt human beings. She was standing against him about Epstein. And she says, from what she has seen with the digital ID and the digital currency, she said she couldn't vote for the digital currency because she has read her Bible, and this is the mark of the beast. One of the things she was doing was introducing legislation to stop chemtrails and weather modification that floods out areas or earthquakes or whatever they want to do.
I have a big announcement to make. My Clear Skies Act has been filed. This is my legislation to ban weather modification and geoengineering of all kinds. Finally, we can really take the fight in Washington to protect our skies, protect our water, protect our atmospheres, and most of all, protect our families. Thanks for your support, everyone. Look for my legislation, the Clear Skies Act.
And on March 16th, they were spraying our skies over here like crazy. And the very next day, I got sick as a dog. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene was doing some good stuff. Opinion: Trump denounces Marjorie Taylor Greene as a traitor. She's a traitor because she was standing on principles, on not wanting to do the mark of the beast, not wanting to protect the pedophile. Then she resigned because threats on her son's life. Did Marjorie Taylor Greene resign because she was scared for her family? Based on reports from November 2025, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced her resignation effective January 5, 2026, citing a combination of factors, including intense personal threats against her family, a desire to spend more time with them, and a falling out with Donald Trump. She indicated that safety concerns following increased threats, partly linked to political feuds, made it difficult to continue. Major MAGA figure Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns after Trump's clash. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old should not result in being called a traitor by Trump, Greene says in her resignation statement.
A stunning political reversal. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who had been one of President Trump's most loyal allies, now says he has abandoned his base, and she's saying it very publicly on 60 Minutes. Congresswoman Greene of Georgia recently announced her retirement. She had voted with President Trump 98% of the time before her relationship with him fractured. And she just accused the president in a new interview with 60 Minutes of forsaking his base. She recently split with the president on a number of issues, including affordability and foreign affairs. And she believes he has failed to keep domestic policy as his #1 priority. Greene says the president was extremely angry with her for signing the discharge petition backing the release of files concerning Jeffrey Epstein. Greene said there was a pipe bomb threat to her home after the president recently called her a traitor. And she said there were several direct threats to her son.
The subject line for the direct death threats on my son was his words, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those are death threats directly fueled by President Trump. I told him, I told J.D. Vance, I told them all, sent those directly to them.
Response?
J.D. Vance replied back to me, we'll look into it. I got response back from President Trump that I will keep private, but it wasn't very nice.
Greene rejected reports that she's planning to run for president, saying she has zero desire to campaign for that position. And she said she doesn't know what's next for her.
Her life could be in danger because of the rhetoric?
Her life is in danger? Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
How horrible that the President of the United States would be that dismissive of a female who fears for her life. And he says, I don't think anybody even cares about her.
bomb threat on my house. And after President Trump called me a traitor, I got a pipe bomb threat on my house. And then I got several direct death threats on my son.
Representative Majorie Taylor Greene says she was denied extra security despite reporting over 700 death threats since joining Congress in 2021. The U.S. Capitol Police received 773 such reports from her office over 4 years. Greene claims all those threats came from the left until she spoke out in support of Epstein survivors.
I stood for women who were raped when they were 14 years old. And the president that I fought for 5 years called me a traitor for that.
She described horrific incidents like pizza doxing deliveries to her home and office, plus pipe bomb threats and even assassination plots against her son, Derek. Local police and the FBI responded quickly to those alerts, but Greene says she sent details of the threats against her son to President Trump, who replied with harsh words and no sympathy. While Rome City Police and the Floyd County Sheriff's Department have monitored her home voluntarily, and Capitol Police have pushed for some prosecutions, Greene had to protect herself. She's a strong Second Amendment supporter, so she carries her own firearm and owns multiple guns that she practices with regularly. This comes amid her public falling out with Trump, leading to her announcing that she'll resign from Congress at the start of 2026. Still, Greene stands by her 98% alignment with Trump's voting record, insisting it's always been conservative and America first.
Now listen what the narrator says. When the narrator comes on, listen to what he says Marjorie Taylor Greene said. And I think this is what scared Trump the most.
I will name every damn name. A line that has been haunting Trump and company for the past 2 months. A speech that scared the hell out of the Trump administration and Republicans. I will name every damn name. A line that has been haunting Trump and company for the past 2 months. A speech that scared the hell out of the Trump administration and Republicans. The explosive speech was delivered by Majorie Taylor Greene during the Epstein Files Victims Press Conference and has repeatedly called out the Trump administration to release the files. During her powerful speech supporting the Epstein abuse victims, MTG quoted, "I am not scared of names. I will name every damn name in the files."
For everyone watching at home, I think it's important to put yourself in these women's shoes. As you're questioning, why can't they just name the names? What you don't realize is they just told their stories of being raped and being abused, being victimized, being manipulated, being coerced, and basically held in a prison of captivity of sexual abuse while they were young teenagers and extremely young, vulnerable women. And in Jeffrey Epstein's home and the places they went with him, they saw the most powerful people in the world in his pictures, and they saw him with those people. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it.
So imagine the clashing of will between Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, because y'all remember in 2024, Trump told Dr. Phil that sometimes revenge is justified. Trump tells Dr. Phil sometimes revenge can be justified. Trump says sometimes revenge can be justified. Now here's Donald Trump 34 years ago in 1992 on the Charlie Rose show saying that he loves getting even with people. This is his character.
You know, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Some of the people that were least loyal to me are people that
you got it. Now, think about Marjorie Taylor Greene. He thought was going to be loyal to him, but she wasn't. So keep this in mind, how Trump thinks towards people that he feels betrayed him.
You know, some of the people that were most loyal to me are people that I didn't think would be. Some of the people that were least loyal to me are people that
you got
I
it.
think I would have treated them differently. I think I would have treated different groups differently. I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. You know, I love getting even with people, but I will. I will have wiped.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway, but
now keep that in mind. Trump says, you don't believe in an eye for an eye. I know you well enough. Yeah, I know you do. So let me just give you backstory on the host that Trump says, I know you good enough to know you do believe in an eye for an eye. He hung around Jeffrey Epstein too. New York Magazine reports Jeffrey Epstein reportedly conferred with former TV news host Charlie Rose about hiring young women as assistants. Charlie Rose has been accused of 27 women accusing him of sexual misconduct over 3 decades. Jeffrey Epstein and his great pal Charlie Rose. So Trump is on television telling a friend of Jeffrey Epstein's that I know you well enough to know you think like me. An eye for an eye.
well enough. I think you do. But anyway, you don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway,
but tell me, I mean, you're going to get even with some people.
Yeah, I know. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that.
Now think about that. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people. Did Trump get even with some people with that courthouse fire? Wait till we get into it. Wait till we get into this. He said if he has the opportunity, he will get even with people. And he told Dr. Phil, that was 34 years ago, he said, if I have the opportunity, I'll get even. Fast forward 32 years later, 2 years ago, he tells Dr. Phil, sometimes revenge is justified. So here he is saying, if I have the chance to get even with my enemies, I will.
Yeah, I know. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal to me. I mean, I had a group of people that were disloyal.
But how do you define disloyalty?
And Marjorie Taylor Greene was disloyal.
They didn't come to my aid.
Well, what did they do? They turned their back on you?
No, but they didn't do small things that would have helped. You see, I'm so loyal to people. Maybe I'm loyal to a fault, but I'm so loyal to people that when somebody's slightly disloyal to me, I look upon it as a great act of horror.
The president begins by wanting to talk about my job. So I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, 3 times you've already asked me to stay or talked about me staying.
The president.
So this says, yes or no, does Donald Trump consider Marjorie Taylor Greene his biggest political enemy? Based on recent reports, yes, Donald Trump has publicly and harshly turned against Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a traitor, wacky, and a ranting lunatic in 2025, branding her a significant political adversary within the MAGA movement. Now, once one of Trump's staunchest allies, Greene, fell out with him over her push to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. So, she is now his biggest political enemy. And Trump's character says, I get even with people if given the opportunity, and I will wipe the floor with them. Let's hear this. Trump demands blind loyalty, and you cannot question him.
I'm going to ask you about this almost solid support he has among Republicans in Congress. Is there in that support fear? Does the support come about because they're afraid that they'll get death threats?
I think they're terrified to step out of line and get a nasty Truth Social post on them. Yes.
And they're watching what happened to you.
Yes.
Behind the scenes, do they talk differently?
Yes.
How?
Oh, it would shock people.
Well, let's shock people.
Okay. I watched many of my colleagues go from making fun of him, making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 2024, they all started, excuse my language, Leslie, kissing his ass and decided to put on a MAGA hat for the first time. We are seeing war on behalf of Israel. We are seeing the people in Gaza, innocent people in Gaza, hundreds of thousands of them completely murdered so that they can build some new real estate development and money can pour in and everybody can get rich there in the new Gaza. And we're seeing a whole plan play out, which is really a new world order. We are seeing
Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling all the secrets. She said Americans will comply with the digital ID or they'll get in trouble. They won't be here. It'll be over with for them. They have no choice. Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling everything on everybody and everyone all at the same time. She ain't letting nothing slide. If something needs to be told, Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling it 100% of the time.
From January 3rd, 2026, 2 days before she resigned, Majorie Taylor Greene warns Americans will comply or die over digital ID and CBDC threat. Representative Majorie Taylor Greene sharply reacted this week to evolving federal crypto policy, warning that digital identity and currency changes could force Americans into a stark choice: comply or die. So she's warning people where Trump's policies are about to take us. And she's his political enemy, number 100. Number one, I mean. So, with all the background between Trump and Majorie Taylor Greene, the historic Floyd County Courthouse in Rome, Georgia, her district, is destroyed by fire. At the same time that records are being destroyed in Georgia, cover-ups, voting records, lawsuits over voting in Georgia, suppression, Trump is pushing voting reforms. Georgia hand count of votes affirms Biden's narrow victory over Trump. So this is when they were doing the recounts on it. Trump pressed Georgia's speaker to overturn his 2020 election loss.
I've got some of my people looking at that because, frankly, that was a theory of us coming into session that we had not considered. We have been thinking that we had to travel down the road of having 3/5 of the House members, which we couldn't get.
By the way, you do it to uncover fraud. You could say for transparency and to uncover fraud, possible fraud. So who's going to stop you for that? You know, it's like
a federal judge.
Faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We won this thing by 400,000 or 500,000 votes, just like we did Alabama and every other state in the South. And we won your state massively. But it's very beatable. If we had a special session, we will present, and you will say, it's been massive fraud. We're going to turn over the state.
So they did an audit on 322, the Brotherhood of Death. 322 is the Brotherhood of Death. Skull and Bones. So Georgia did an audit that confirmed Trump did win. But then it comes out and says, you go look up, is Biden still the declared winner in Georgia in 2020 presidential election? Due to the close margins in the initial election results, Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger announced on November 11th that a recount by hand would be conducted. The recount was completed on November 18th, and Biden was confirmed to be the winner on November 19th. But this was in 2024 on 322 that the audit confirms that Trump won. Now, y'all, are they setting up for them to say that the election was stolen from Trump in 2020 to set him up for another term? This is December 18th, 2025. U.S. Department of Justice, the United States Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, sues Georgia over voter information. This is January 8th, 2026. Trump asked for more than $6.2 million in legal fees after Georgia election case dismissal. President Donald Trump is asking a judge to order the Fulton County District Attorney, that's Atlanta area, to pay more than $6.2 million in legal fees and costs after Georgia election interference case against him was dismissed. So the Justice Department sues Georgia. Then Georgia dismisses Trump's case. Then Trump wants $6.2 million. Amid FBI investigation, this is February 1st, a month and a half ago, Trump's 2020 election obsession is still shaping Georgia politics. FBI raids Georgia Election Center, and that's about 70 miles away from Rome, Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. Is there a connection? Are y'all ready for this that I found? Did they burn courthouses to hide records? Yes, courthouses were historically burned to destroy records, a common occurrence during the 19th century and the World Civil War to hide evidence of debt, property ownership, or criminal activity. Intentional fires or arson were used to destroy property deeds, marriage license, and criminal files. Civil War destruction. Both sides in the Civil War intentionally burned courthouses to cause chaos, destroy evidence of loyalty, or eradicate property records, hiding crimes and debt. Specific incidents such as the 1916 DeKalb County, that's by Atlanta, courthouse fire were suspected to have been set to destroy records involving fraud. Did somebody burn this down for something? In the Floyd County Old Courthouse file, could any voting records have been stored there? Yes, it is possible that voting records, particularly older ones or recent paper files, now they just had an election 2 weeks before that, 13 days before that, for the person that was going to take Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. Yes, it is possible. Hold on, I got to get something to drink. My throat hurts. Yes, it is possible that voting records, particularly older ones or recent paper files, were stored in the historic Floyd County Courthouse in Rome, Georgia, which was gutted by fire on Monday, March 23rd, 2026. According to reports, the building housed the tax assessors and tax commission's offices, which frequently manage vital records. Potential loss. While many records are digitized, Floyd County Manager Jamie McCord indicated that he believes many paper records were lost. Voter tax records. While major records are often backed up to the cloud or scanned, discussions surrounding the fire have raised concerns about the loss of tax, property, and potential voter-related files, specifically those from last week. Now, y'all, what if somebody just paid their car off? And there's been a lien on their car for 4 or 5 years, and they paid their card off 2 days ago, and there's no proof for them to get their title, to get the lien taken off. Now they don't have a clean title. There's going to be a lot of stuff. People that's paying property taxes, there won't be proof that they paid for their property taxes. It hadn't been backed up. Voting records could have been lost. Was this sabotage? So this was like 2 weeks before the fire, and it would have been just 3 weeks from the time that Trump was there.
Also happening in the world of politics, tomorrow voters will head to the polls to choose a replacement for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Greene resigned in January following a public rift with President Donald Trump. She represented District 14 that spans 10 counties, including Floyd, Paulding, and a portion of Cobb County. There are several candidates on the ballot, even though some will not be actually eligible to run because they've withdrawn from this race.
So supposedly Trump was in Rome February 19th to campaign for the replacement for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. Trump endorsed Republican advances to runoff in Georgia's special election for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. So some of those voting records could be lost. We read that it is possible that voting records, particularly the older ones or recent paper files, were stored in the historic Rome County Courthouse in Rome, Georgia, which was gutted by fire on Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Many paper records were lost, says the Floyd County manager. Now, this was just some fires and destruction of other courthouses that I found. It was so many, I couldn't even take the time to do it. Since 2020, how many courthouses have burnt down? Since 2020, at least 4 notable district courthouses fire incidents have been reported in the United States, with several resulting in total or near total destruction of historic structures. The Floyd County Courthouse, Butler County Courthouse in Ohio, February of 2026. Mason County Courthouse in Texas, February 2021. Loudoun County Courthouse in Tennessee, April 2020. Additionally, in early 2025, reports noted that Wayne County Courthouse, Jessup, Georgia, suffered a significant fire damage affecting the roof and causing water damage. Then so it says more than 50 federal courthouses were damaged during 2020 protest. During the 2020 protest, 50 courthouses were damaged or destroyed, with dozens more incidences of vandalism occurring at local and federal sites between 2020 and 2024. These incidents occurred largely during the protest against police brutality and racial unrest, specifically targeting the Hartfield Federal Courthouse in Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, Oakland, California, Los Angeles, California, Riverside, California, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Los Angeles, Nevada, Portland, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Durham, North Carolina. A lot were files lost, records lost. Okay? June 2020. By June 4, 2020, the U.S. Marshal Service reported damage to 21 federal courthouses in 15 states and the District of Columbia. The Federal Protection Service and U.S. courts reported that more than 50 courthouses sustained damage during 2020. A 2024 report indicated that security issues remained high following these events, requiring the creation of an interagency group to harden courthouses. Judiciary says courthouses are in crisis, seeks real property authority. Federal judiciary asked Congress to give control of courthouses. In a letter to lawmakers, the court's policy-making body claimed that General Services Administration, part of the executive branch, has been slow to make crucial repairs. So they want their own control over the federal courthouses. Yes or no? Has courthouses in the past ever been burnt down to hide government corruption? Yes, historically, courthouses have been burned down, sometimes by officials or aligned forces, to destroy records, cover up evidence of corruption, or eliminate records of political machines. Specific incidents include intentional fires aimed at erasing deeds, debt records, or evidence of illegal activity. Is it possible historic files were lost in the Floyd County Courthouse fire? Yes, according to reports regarding the March 23rd, 2026 fire that destroyed the historic Floyd County Courthouse in Rome, Georgia, it is highly likely that some records were lost. While some documents were digitized, officials indicated that paper records were likely destroyed, particularly those in the building during renovations. While officials aimed to digitize most files, it was reported that many paper records were lost. Now, so on the day of the fire, where was Trump? Trump was in Tennessee promoting the SAVE Act, the Voting Act, okay, on the same day, and he was awarding law enforcement. We're going to get into this. And as the fire is burning, on the same day, Trump tells Republicans to pass the voting law for Jesus. Here we go again. Just like the Sanhedrin said Trump has been selected by God for a heavenly mission, and then all the messianic references about Trump. Trump is going to tell Republicans to pass voting for Jesus, to pass the voting bill for Jesus. Okay? That was on Monday. Next Friday is Good Friday. So Trump is telling Republicans, don't worry about Easter. Don't worry about Good Friday. Go on and pass this legislation and do it for Jesus. The Hill. Would you need a passport, real ID to vote if the SAVE Act passes? The SAVE Act is about to take center stage in the Senate, potentially bringing new strict identification requirements. Trump says, so right now ICE agents are in the airports because TSA's not there because of a partial government shutdown. Trump says no shutdown deal until Democrats support the Save America Act. Now, flashback, y'all remember Paula White said to say no to President Trump would be saying no to God. And now Trump is telling his people, pass the voting law for Jesus. And saying no to Trump is saying no to God. So while the courthouse is burning in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, that potentially has some cover up, that Trump was there just 5 weeks prior. While the courthouse is burning, listen to what Trump is saying.
It's a great feeling because we were laughed at for 4 years with this guy that should have never been president. So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those two items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell him. Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell him. That's would be a damn good thing. The most important part of Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. So we're talking.
Was Memphis, Tennessee, the only place that Trump traveled to yesterday while the Rome courthouse was burning. Based on reports from March 23, 2026, President Trump's travel focused on Memphis, Tennessee, where he held a law enforcement roundtable and toured Elvis Presley's Graceland. The official schedule indicated a trip from Washington, D.C. to Memphis and a return to Washington, D.C. the same day. Purpose of the flight? To highlight the Memphis Safe Task Force and crime reduction efforts. A roundtable discussion followed by a 30-minute tour of Elvis Presley's Graceland. So to drive it would be 13 hours from D.C. to Memphis. To fly? How long is a private flight from D.C. to Memphis? A private flight from D.C. to Memphis typically takes between 2 and 2.5 hours. So there is Memphis, and there's Rome, Georgia. So Trump is touring Graceland and doing his little speech. Okay, so Trump is giving his little speech in Memphis while Rome is burning. We could say a lot about that right there. Trump urges GOP to skip Easter recess for Jesus to force Department of Homeland Security and the voting bill. Okay, so he's telling them do it for Jesus. In Christianity, is Easter the highest holy day? Yes, Easter is considered the highest, most important, and oldest holy day in Christianity. It commemorates the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is central to the Christian faith, symbolizing victory over death and the promise of eternal life. While Christmas is widely celebrated culturally, Easter holds greater theological significance. And Trump is manipulating Christian senators by saying, do this vote for Jesus. Don't worry about going home for Easter. In fact, make this one vote for Jesus. Manipulation. Manipulation is a psychological tactic designed to influence or control someone's behaviors, thoughts, or emotions for personal gain through deception or unfair means. Trump is gaslighting and manipulating Christians. Y'all don't have to go to Easter. Stay here and make this vote count for Jesus. What does Trump's voting have to do with Easter and Jesus Christ's suffering? Okay? Would a cult leader say, if you do something for him, So what cult leader would say, if you do something for him, the cult leader, that you are doing something for Jesus? Yes, a cult leader would typically say that doing something for them is equivalent for doing it for Jesus to foster absolute loyalty, ensure unquestioning obedience, and manipulate followers into serving their leader's own interests, often by exploiting spiritual beliefs. And Trump's faith advisor says telling Trump no is telling God no. Manipulation. Trump, let's make this one for Jesus, okay? Don't worry about Easter, going home to celebrate Jesus. In fact, make this one for Jesus. Easter is the reflection upon what Jesus Christ did and the suffering he bore in his body to give believers eternal life. And Trump is wanting to say passing his bill is honoring Easter? Isaiah 53 says that Jesus was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Fact is that God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself, not imputing their trespasses against them, and has committed to us the word of reconciliation. Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ through God, are pleading through us, implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. And Jesus said 7 things on the cross when he was suffering and dying on the cross. He says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. Woman, looking at his mother, here's your son, here's your mother. Fourth, my God, why have you forsaken me? I am thirsty. It is finished. And Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit. Jesus was in anguish on the cross and said, I thirst. And they put vinegar on his cracked lips. And Trump is saying, don't worry about going home and thanking God for Easter and his suffering and reflecting on what he did to give you salvation. Make my vote on voter ID about Jesus. Make this one for Jesus. I said, yes or no? Would it be blasphemy to equate voting with Jesus Christ's sacrifice for our sins? Yes, from a traditional Christian theological perspective, directly equating the act of voting with Jesus Christ's sacrifice for sins is widely considered blasphemous and idolatrous. But what's the word say? According to the Bible, does the Antichrist speak blasphemies against Jesus? Yes, according to Revelation 13:5-6, the Antichrist is given a mouth to utter blasphemies against God. This blasphemous speech is characterized as arrogant and anti-Christian and designed to deceive. The Antichrist combines speech with war against the saints, aiming to deceive or force the world into worshiping him instead of Jesus. Don't go home and worship Jesus. Stay here and get this vote done for me to benefit me. And you can say it's for Jesus, okay? How would Jesus vote? What's in the voting bill? Without the SAVE Act, States will continue to provide illegal aliens with IDs, automatically register voters with no proof of citizenship, and hold elections with zero identification requirements. This gap in election laws should be fixed before Americans head to the ballot box in November. Executive Vice President for the Heritage Action. The SAVE Act would block millions of Americans from voting. The show your papers requirement is an attack on the freedom to vote. In every form, the State SAVE Act would require American citizens to show documents like a passport or birth certificate to register to vote. Our research shows that more than 21 million Americans lack ready access to those documents. Roughly half of Americans don't even have a passport. Y'all, I don't have a passport. I've never had a passport, and I'm 60 years old. Millions lack access to a paper copy of their birth certificate. Okay, I don't have my birth certificate. The SAVE Act would disenfranchise Americans of all ages and races, but younger voters and voters of colors would suffer disproportionately. Likewise, millions of women whose married names aren't on their birth certificates or passports would face extra steps just to make their voices heard. I'm still carrying my ex husband's name, no longer carrying my maiden name, and I've been divorced 24 years. So it's going to be a hassle for me to go get my birth certificate in East Baton Rouge Parish when I'm living in Rapides Parish under a different name and got to get a marriage license with the birth certificate to show how the name changed, and then come up to Rapides Parish to get the divorce certificate to show the divorce took place. Committee on House Administration Safeguard American Eligibility Act. These provisions will apply to all new registrants across the United States, including already registered voters who update their registration as a result of a move, new district, a name change, or a party switch. Americans would not be able to register to vote with their driver's license. Real IDs do not meet the SAVE Act's requirements of showing a holder's citizenship, and non citizens are legally permitted to have real ID. Americans would not be able to use military ID or tribal IDs alone when registering to vote. People who have changed their names, including married women, would not be allowed to use their birth certificate when registering to vote. And Trump says this registry will be part of Homeland Security. Would Jesus vote for an enslavement bill? But conservatives are blindly giving total loyalty to Trump and the SAVE Act. President Trump, March 23rd, the time that the courthouse was burning, President Trump is absolutely right about election integrity being a national security concern. Are y'all ready for this? Yes or no? Could an implantable RFID chip be used for immigration and homeland security and voting? Yes, implantable RFID chips could theoretically be used for immigration tracking, homeland security, and voting, as the technology enables unique, non contact identification and authentication of individuals. Make this vote for Jesus. Would Jesus vote for something leading to an implanted chip? I don't think so. Thune responds to Trump asking to tie Department of Homeland Security funding to the Save America Act. ICE is tied to DHS, and DHS is tied to voting. Vote wrong? ICE and DHS are building warehouses all over the country that you can get taken to. Answer honestly, yes or no. Did Rex 84 allow for political enemies in the United States to be rounded up? Yes. Rex 84 was classified contingency plan and drill developed by the U.S. federal government, specifically Reagan and Oliver North and FEMA, designed to suspend the Constitution, declare martial law, and round up large numbers of American citizens deemed national security threats. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Yes or no? Could political enemies be rounded up to detention facilities? Whether political enemies could be rounded up to detention facilities in the U.S. is a complex legal question involving conflicting interpretations of executive power. There is no simple yes or no. Experts have warned that broadening these detention efforts could result in the wrongful detention or deportation of U.S. citizens. Refuse an implanted RFID chip for national security and secure voting. You may be detained here. Has the Department of Homeland Security considered implanted RFID chips for identification? The Department of Homeland Security has not adopted or officially sanctioned the use of implanted RFID chips for humans. While DHS has investigated and used RFID technology, such as RFID-enabled passport cards and travel documents, the U.S. Visit Program for Border Security implantable microchips have remained in the realm of theoretical discussion. A 2006 report from Department of Homeland Security Data and Privacy Integrity Advisory Committee analyzed the use of RFID chips for human tracking, concluding that RFID is better suited for tracking objects rather than people. Let's watch and see. Trump wouldn't bring in RFID implants. Trump's a man from Jesus. What's in Trump's winning the 6G race executive order? Did Trump's executive order on 6G technology include implantable technology? Yes, in December 2025, presidential memorandum signed by President Trump regarding 6G technology explicitly mentioned implantable technologies as a key area of development. It's going to happen. Implantable technologies. RFID chip is an implantable technology. Answer honestly, yes or no. Could 6G support implantable RFID chips in citizens? Yes. And Trump 6G executive order calls for the development of implantable devices. And 6G can support implantable RFID chips in humans. 6G technology is expected to provide the infrastructure, specifically ultra-low latency and massive device connectivity, to support in-body and on-body and off-body communications, including, I'm sorry, I had a cough, including advanced implantable RFID-based sensors and medical microchips. Yes or no? Could implanted RFIDs in citizens be beneficial in voting? Yes, implantable RFID chips in citizens could technically be beneficial for specific aspects of voting, primarily by providing a high-security, tamper-resistant method for instant voter identification, authentication, and the reduction of fraud or double voting. Yes, answer yes or no. Could implanted RFID chips in citizens be beneficial for the Department of Homeland Security? Yes, implanted RFID chips could technically provide benefits to the Department of Homeland Security for tracking, authentication, and identifying individuals. Yes or no? Could implanted RFID chips in human beings be used for verification of ID for voting? Yes, implanted RFID chips in a human being could technically be used for the verification of ID for voting. Here we go. Answer honestly, yes or no. The Trump vote for Jesus? Could RFID chip implants in citizens benefit Trump's SAVE Act? Do the vote for Jesus. Whether RFID chip implants could benefit the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility SAVE Act is a complex question with arguments regarding potential efficiency and significant concerns about privacy and ethics, making a simple yes or no of RFID chips connected to Trump's SAFE Act to vote insignificant to reflect the debate. Arguments for potential benefit for the SAVE Act. Instant verification. Accurate voter rolls. Implants could theoretically ensure only authorized citizens were on the voter rolls. Has RFID chip implants ever been considered for immigration at the border? Yes, the use of implantable RFID microchips for human identification has been a subject of discussion and consideration regarding border security and immigration, primarily driven by technology companies and some political actors. Yes or no? Theoretically, could an implanted RFID chip in a person be used to improve national security? Theoretically, an implanted RFID chip could be used to improve national security through several mechanisms, although this raises significant ethical and privacy concerns. And y'all, all this is an agenda that Trump was talking about while the Floyd County Courthouse was burning. And this is what he's telling people to get past for Jesus. Yes or no? Could an RFID chip implanted in humans be used for commerce, security, and compliance? Yes, RFID implants in humans can be and already are used for commerce, security, and compliance. The agency that has the power to round people up, even U.S. citizens, is the same agency that has considered RFID chips in citizens and now has been coupled by Trump in voting and is now replacing TSA agents and is in the airports, and that agency is pro RFID chips and the building massive detention centers around the country. Jesus told his followers, "Do not fear the coming persecution," specifically stating that some would be thrown into prison for testing, as described in Revelation 2:10. This article from Revelation 2:10, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be faithful unto death, and I will give thee the crown of life." It says he urged believers in Smyrna, and by extension the church, to remain faithful even in the face of death, promising the crown of life as reward for their endurance. Is there a connection to the orange man? We've talked about governments have set courthouses on fire to conceal evidence. Okay? History provides examples where governments, agents, officials, or soldiers have destroyed government buildings, including courthouses, to conceal records and evidence. In the 18th and 19th centuries, numerous U.S. courthouse fires were reportedly set by local officials or clerks, particularly in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, to destroy land deeds, tax records, and evidence of corruption. Incidents exist where local officials in the U.S. have been accused of destroying records to cover up land theft or in response to audits. During the Civil War, federal troops and sympathizers were responsible for burning courthouses, resulting in the loss of local land and court records. But looky, RFID enabled electronic voting framework for secure democratic processes. There would be no more paper. It would all be electronic. All your voting records would be there. Process automation architecture using RFID for transparent voting system. RFID chips revolutionizing voting technology in modern elections. In February, when Trump was in Rome, Georgia, upon his arrival in Rome, Georgia, President Trump spoke about the FBI raids of election offices that took place in Fulton County during January. So Trump is still obsessing over losing the 2020 election. Okay? The president's visit to Marjorie Taylor Greene's former district aligned with the ongoing early voting for the special election triggered by Greene's sudden resignation. Trump did not mention Greene's recent social media post against him and the GOP, but instead highlighted the candidate he is supporting to take her place, Clay Fuller. Now, this was around the time that Trump was getting to Floyd County a week before. He had the FBI raid Georgia. FBI raid of Georgia election hub was driven by Trump appointee, court documents show. President Donald Trump continues to falsely claim the 2020 election was stolen despite court rulings and investigations debunking any widespread voter fraud, including in Georgia. The FBI last month raided a Georgia election hub near Atlanta and seized ballots and voter records at the urging of a lawyer who had worked with President Trump to try to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Trump is going to claim a third term, and he's going to implement the SAVE Act with the RFID chip to prevent future stolen elections, and his supporters are going to be right behind it. Yes or no, is it possible that RFID chip implants would prevent future stolen elections? Here we go. Yes, it is technically possible that RFID chip technology could be used to enhance the security of voting systems to prevent fraud, according to recent research on RFID-based e-voting systems. Yes or no, is it possible that implanted RFID chips could eliminate fraudulent voting? It is technically possible that implanted RFID chips could significantly reduce or functionally eliminate certain types of fraudulent voting, such as voter impersonation and double voting. Excluding ethical concerns, could an implanted RFID chip serve for the foundation of a digital economy and voter integrity? Excluding ethical concerns, implanted RFID chips could technically serve as a foundational high security infrastructure for a digital economy and voter integrity, acting as an immutable biological link to a person's digital identity. By embedding a passive RFID chip, typically in the hand, the technology provides a permanent, secure, and convenient token for identifying individuals in both commerce and voting scenarios.
Groundwork is being laid, currency that can be controlled by the federal government. I've read the Bible and I believe what Revelations 13, 16 through 17 says, and I just cannot vote for a future system that will do that.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling all the secrets. She said Americans will comply with the digital ID or they'll get in trouble. They won't be here. It'll be over with for them. They have no choice. Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling everything on everybody and everyone all at the same time. She ain't letting nothing slide. If something needs to be told, Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling it 100% of the time.
Is there a connection? Yes or no, could burning down a courthouse be a form of political punishment against an enemy? Burning down a courthouse can be interpreted as a form of political punishment against an enemy within the specific non-legal context of political violence, terrorism, or violent protest. Could a dictator burning down a courthouse be sent as a message to political opponent? Yes, a dictator burning down a courthouse can be interpreted as a powerful symbolic message to political opponents, typically signaling the destruction of the rule of law, the intimidation of the judiciary, and the absolute concentration of power. Intimidation and fear. Destroying a venue of justice is a show of force, sending a message that no institution is safe from the regime and that opponents will not receive legal protection. It signifies the dictator is above the law, often preceding the suspension of constitutional protection. Targeting political opposition. Similar to actions taken by extremist regimes, such destruction can be intended to signal the political opposition will be met with violence and repression. Y'all, my throat is hurting. I'm sorry. Now, Trump saw some things in Rome, Georgia, that upset him, that frustrated him. Marjorie Taylor Greene's posting against him. She's attacking him. She's undermining him. He's got an agenda. She's exposing it. Could burning down the courthouse in her hometown be a message to Marjorie Taylor Greene? Marjorie Taylor Greene, I know where you live. Look what I just did. Yes or no? Has courthouses in the past ever been burnt down to hide government corruption? Yes, historically, courthouses have been burned down, sometimes by officials or law enforcement, to destroy records to cover up evidence of corruption or eliminate records of political machines. Include intentional fires aimed at erasing deeds, debt records, or evidence of illegal activity. At the same time, records in in Atlanta, 70 miles away, are being destroyed in Georgia, maybe in Rome. Lawsuits over voting in Georgia. Trump is pushing for voting reforms that could include RFID chips. This is where it's going to start getting good. Yes or no? Is it possible that nations could start moving towards RFID chip implants for voting? It is technically possible for nations to move towards RFID chip implant voting, but it faces significant ethical, legal, and practical hurdles. Yes or no? Is it possible for RFID implants for voting could go global? Yes, it is technically possible for RFID chip implants to be used for voting and for such a system to be adopted globally. Yes or no? Could an implanted RFID chip be part of a new social contract? Yes, RFID chips could be incorporated into the new social contract, but such a development is controversial, faces ethical concerns. We're in an immoral, unethical society, so it's going to happen. Yes or no? Does the United Nations and the World Health Organization and World Economic Forum want a new social contract that can include the RFID chip? Yes, the UN, the World Health Organization, and the WEF have all publicly called for a new social contract. Bill Gates, the UN, Bill Gates, and the Rockefeller Foundation launched the 50 and 5 agenda to make digital IDs, vaccine passports, and CBDCs mandatory to participate in society by 2030. Y'all remember when we were given all these warnings in 2020 about the COVID shots being untested and you're putting unknown chemicals into your body and what could be down the road regarding your health? All the things that we were warning about 6 years ago came to pass. And now we're warning what digital ID is going to do and where it's going to go and the enslavement system it's going to bring. I pray people listen this time for this warning because this one's real serious. This is going to be your eternal soul. World Bank and Verizon chief say digital ID part of a social contract between the government and citizens. And like I've said before, I am not breaking a covenant with the holy God to sign a contract with men who are devils. Digital ID, part of a social contract between government, citizens, the World Bank, and Verizon chiefs say. Now listen to Scott Bessent talking about the Trump accounts. And y'all, Scott Bessent came straight over from George Soros' firm. The same George Soros that admits that he topples countries. Listen to what Scott Bessent says about the Trump accounts.
I think that I am here to announce the biggest merger in history, merger of Main Street and Wall Street. So thank you. I'm grateful to be with you all. An entire generation of Americans is about to learn in the most life-changing way possible how even small contributions can become generational wealth. And it's all thanks to President Trump. Trump accounts are the president's gift to the American people. They represent perhaps the most groundbreaking policy innovation of modern times, and they are shaped by a simple vision: every American a shareholder. When every American owns a share of the most powerful economy on earth, every American will benefit from our nation's growth. Every American will capture a portion of the productivity gains brought about by AI, robotics, and other world-changing technologies. And every American will be invested in the free market system and, most importantly, its continued success. Trump accounts are not a government program. They are a radically new platform that returns us to a social contract anchored in individual ownership, where everyone starts life on an investing journey. By giving each newborn citizen a material stake in the American dream through Trump accounts, President Trump is minting future investors on every rung of the economic ladder.
Now, remember in Trump's 6G executive order talking about AI and robotics and implantable technologies? Listen to what he says. Listen.
Will benefit from our nation's growth. Every American will capture a portion of the productivity gains brought about by AI, robotics, and other world-changing technologies.
And other world-changing technologies. He did not say implantable devices. He talked about AI and robotics. But Trump's executive order named implantable devices. He said world-changing technologies. Yes or no? Could Trump accounts evolve into implantable wallets? Yes, based on the rapid convergence of technology, finance, and the specific initiatives mentioned, it is technically possible for Trump accounts, which are designed for long-term growth and under the proposed SEAS Act, may include digital asset indexes to evolve into broader digital wallets. Yes or no? Could digital wallets evolve into implantable wallets? So the Trump accounts could lead to implants. Digital wallets are already evolving into implantable technology, with companies like Walletmore already selling grain of rice sized microchips that are implanted in the hand, similar to contactless bank cards. Could RFID chip implants be digital wallets? Yes, RFID chip implants are already being used as digital wallets. And the Trump accounts can evolve into RFID chip implants, world changing technology. Yes or no, would a new social contract and RFID chip be able to punish enemies? Yes, a combination of a new social contract, restructuring societal norms and laws, and the RFID chip technology used for identification and tracking could be designed to punish individuals labeled as enemies or rule breakers. Enemies and rule breakers could lose everything. Yes or no, does Trump consider Marjorie Taylor Greene his biggest political enemy? Based on recent reports, yes, Donald Trump has publicly and harshly turned against Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a traitor, wacky, and a ranting lunatic. So he could turn off an RFID chip for his enemies. You wouldn't be able to buy, sell, eat, rent, vote, nothing. Was burning down the courthouse, telling, a cue to tell Marjorie Taylor Greene, don't open your mouth anymore. I've shown you what I can do, what I can bring to your town, and I did. Okay? Could a president or a dictator send a message to a political enemy? A president or dictator burning down a courthouse or encouraging its destruction can be a potent symbolic message to a political enemy. Such an action often signals the intended end of the rule of law, a display of absolute power, and a direct threat of violence against opponents. Does Marjorie Taylor Greene still have a house in Georgia? Yes, we talked about it. She still has a house there. So on March 23rd, when the courthouse in Marjorie Taylor Greene's town is burning, Trump is flown from D.C. to Memphis. He gets to Memphis at 11 o'clock on Memphis time, but there's a time zone difference. And it's 12 o'clock in Rome when he gets to Memphis. So the line changes right before, I think, 7 miles before the border of Georgia. It's a different time zone. So that's how close they are. Okay. Trump in Memphis, the exact timing of the president arrival isn't clear, but then everybody else was reporting 11 a.m. So why did Trump fly to D.C. from D.C. to Memphis on March 23rd? March 23rd, President Trump flew from D.C. to Memphis, Tennessee, to headline a roundtable discussion at the Air National Armory, highlighting the achievements of the Memphis Safe Task Force in reducing crime. He touted the operation, which began in September 2025, for making over 7,200 arrests and seizing nearly 1,200 illegal firearms, followed by a brief impromptu visit to Graceland. So he went, congratulated them for confiscating guns and making arrests, and then he went to Graceland. Does he look excited to be there? Does he look excited that he went to Graceland? Or was that just a photo op? Why did he really fly to Memphis? He could have just video chatted with these people, congratulating them. Okay? Instead, he spent 8.5 hours, 2.5 hours flying there. 3.5 hours in Tennessee because he got there at 11. He left at 2:30, and a 2.5 hour flight back. 8.5 hours in Tennessee for a meeting congratulating Air National Guard for law enforcement and going to the Elvis Mansion. He could have just video chatted. Hi, I want to congratulate y'all. I'm your favorite president. We've seen him video chat. Why did he really waste 8 hours of his day for this? So at 1:20 Memphis time, and it was 2:20 in Georgia time when the courthouse went up. A devastating fire is currently ravaging the historic Floyd County Courthouse. The blaze broke out at 2:30 p.m., 2:20 p.m., and has severely damaged the 1893 structure with parts of it collapsing. And now it was all. So Trump was probably driving from his meeting to Graceland because he spent 30 minutes in Graceland before he left. Trump was probably on his way to Graceland when the courthouse in Georgia caught fire. Now, did Trump leave Memphis at 2:30? Yes, according to reports, Donald Trump departed Memphis at 2:30 on Monday, March 23rd. Okay? So, I imposed a Tennessee map on top of this, and at the end of this red line is Nashville. Okay? So that's Nashville. So here's Memphis. The red line is Memphis to Nashville. Okay? So Trump departed Memphis at 3:30 Rome time. The fire has been burning for an hour at this point. It takes 30 minutes to fly from Memphis to Nashville. To fly from Memphis, Tennessee to Nashville, Tennessee in Air Force One, would it take 30 minutes? Yes, it is highly likely that Air Force One, a Boeing 747, could fly from Memphis to Nashville in about 30 to 35 minutes. While commercial flights take roughly 55 to 60 minutes, Air Force One flies at much higher speeds. So Trump left Memphis at 2:30. That's 3:30 Rome time. 30 minutes to get to Nashville. So by the time he gets to Nashville, the fire would be burning for about 40 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes. So here's Trump's plane 30 minutes after he leaves in Nashville. So the distance from Nashville to Rome is a straight line like that. How far is it? Once Trump is flying and gets to Nashville, how far is he from Rome? Nashville to Rome, as the crow flows, is 120 to 130 miles away. So he's up in the sky, 30,000 feet, and Rome is about 125 miles away. Could a plane in the sky see a courthouse massive fire 125 miles away? Yes, a plane flying at typical commercial cruising altitude could absolutely see a massive 125-mile away fire. So Trump is in the sky and he's seeing all the smoke while he's flying past Nashville. So this is just like a made-up picture. Him flying 125 miles away, seeing the courthouse burning in Georgia. Could a plane in the sky see the fire that far away? Absolutely. So I put arrive at 11 in Memphis. That's noon in Georgia. Depart Memphis at 2:30. That's 3:30 Georgia time. So when Trump headed out, he saw it because the courthouse was fully engulfed by the time he made it to Nashville. It would not have been no mistaking the fire. By the time Trump got to Nashville, the Floyd County Courthouse was fully engulfed. Was the Floyd County Courthouse fully engulfed in flames by 3:30? Yes, the historic Floyd County Courthouse in Rome, Georgia was heavily involved in flames and suffered massive destruction, including the collapse of its tower by the 3:30 hour on March 23rd. And remember we heard earlier that Trump was the mob boss? You remember? And Kash Patel and Bondi were foot people? Would a mob boss want to fly over a landmark he ordered burned? Yes, a mob boss might want to fly over a landmark he ordered burned, as such an act aligns with the psychological profile of a criminal leader, which often includes high levels of grandiosity, narcissism, and a desire to see the results of their power. Sense of grandiosity and power. Mob bosses often exhibit parasitic behavior, emotional coldness, and a lack of remorse, viewing themselves as untouchable. Viewing the destruction personally acts as a power move. And Trump says no Department of Homeland funding until Democrats vote and pass his voting record. Y'all, it might seem repetitive, but it's all going to come together. The Save America Act explained how the new Show Your Papers voting bill is even more extreme than the Save Act. They've added to it. Courthouse burned to the ground. Is the orange man connected? And what will the consequences of noncompliance be to his new Show Your Paper system? Now, I found this very interesting. In Estonia, on the other side of the world, is Estonia leading the way on digital ID and citizenship? Yes, Estonia is considered a global leader in digital ID and citizenship, often regarded as the world's most advanced digital society, with 99% of government services available online. Its secure blockchain based national ID card allows residents to sign documents, vote, and manage affairs anywhere. Before Pope John Paul died, you can tell it's 3:00 in the morning. I'm getting tired. Pope Francis, before he died, became a resident, an e-resident of Estonia. He got digital citizenship of Estonia, the country leading the way to digital IDs. Estonia e-governance revolution is hailed as a voting success. So why are so many U.S. states pulling in the opposite direction? Estonia's EID, the cornerstone of a seamless digital society. Vote online. Understanding electronic identification for secure voting in Estonia. Voting, 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 voting. Y'all see all that? Yes, a small number of citizens and residents in Estonia have implanted RFID chip microchips under their skin. While the vast majority of Estonians use a smart electronic ID card or mobile ID for digital services, research and reports indicate that some tech enthusiasts and employees in specific organizations have adopted voluntary microchip implants to use for tasks like accessing workplaces for identification. What the United States can learn about electronic voting from this tiny Eastern European nation. On Sunday, when citizens of the tiny Baltic nation of Estonia go out to vote for their next parliament, many of their compatriots will have already voted from the comfort of their own homes. That's because Estonia is the world's leader in electronic voting. Since 2005, Estonians have been able to cast their ballots from a computer with an internet connection anywhere in the world. And Time magazine says the United States can learn something from this. Smart ID added to e-voting identification options for 2025 local elections. According to a decision taken by Estonian National Electoral Commission, starting from the local government council elections this October, voters will also be able to identify themselves with a Smart ID Estonia, in addition to other options of using an ID card or mobile ID. A Smart ID, the smart mark, and vote at home. And what the United States could learn from this. Now this makes total sense. Y'all remember Trump says, get out and vote in 4 years. You won't have to do this again. We'll have it fixed. Now it makes sense. You won't be going to the polling places.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again.
Get out. Get out and vote. So get out of your house and go vote. In 4 years, you won't have to do this again. We'll be voting with a Smart Mark ID from the house. Not me in Jesus' name. Hopefully not you in Jesus. What's next, beautiful Christians? Trump selling. So there's some people in Estonia that already have the implants for voting and identification. Look at this. Radio frequency identification based voting system, an RFID chip voting system using the Internet of Things. This is from last year. Could 6G in the Internet of Things work with a smart implantable RFID chip to allow for voting? Trump's executive order on 6G that has to run implantable technology? Yes, the combination of 6G enabled Internet of Things and smart implantable RFID chips could theoretically work to allow for voting. 6G is expected to provide extremely low latency, massive device connectivity, and enhanced security necessary to handle real-time biometric and identification data from such devices. Yes or no, is it plausible that in the future, with all of the technology in 6G and the Internet of Things, that the future of voting could be an implanted RFID chip? Yes, based on current technological trends, the development of 6G, and the expansion of the Internet of Things, it is plausible that implanted RFID chip could be used for voting. Think on that. Does that bring any thoughts to your mind? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, Scott Bessent said the Trump accounts could evolve into a digital wallet. And a digital wallet holds digital currencies. It holds vaccine passport information. It holds health information, passports, and everything else, birth certificates. So an implanted chip could be used for voting, paying bills, for identification, for authentication, for getting online. But a chip is coming. I get in Trump says, what did Trump say? Now we know the Antichrist is going to be brutal for the people that don't go along with this. And what does Trump say? He says, I get even with those not loyal to me. I believe in an eye for an eye, and I will wipe the floor with my enemies. What do you think he will do for people that will not worship him? What do you think he will do to people he feels are not loyal to him? Now, Alex Jones is going to cuss in this, but listen to this.
And I'm watching it sink by its own doing. And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III. And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man. Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional. I still hope we can turn it around, but I just, sorry, go ahead. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns. I get it. You know, we all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people. This is my whole life, too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country, and became a pariah on my college campus.
It's sad to see something you fought and bled for die.
Yeah, and, that's my whole adult life. I know that's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to salvage it with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is when these people doing that can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah, well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there's a lot of Trump haters.
I've been a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what this administration has become.
So a lot of blunders are coming off people. They're not MAGA. Trump remarks on Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly's Iran criticism. Donald Trump cut Tucker Carlson out of MAGA. He's lost his way. That's how he marked Majorie Taylor Greene. Trump says Majorie Taylor Greene has lost her way for criticizing his foreign policy. Trump slams his own supporters as weaklings for falling for what he now calls Epstein hoax. And culture. Increasing number of everyday Americans are realizing they've been betrayed by Donald Trump, and that sentiment is spreading. And culture calls Trump objectively stupid after once supporting him. Joe Rogan says Trump supporters feel betrayed from the Iran war. Sick of it. Marjorie Taylor Greene blasts Trump's decision to betray MAGA with Iran strike. Candace Owen declares President Trump betrayed the American people, calls him a coward. Veterans fired from federal jobs say they feel betrayed, including some who voted for Trump. American farmers slam Trump's betrayal with Argentina beef deal. Why Trump betrayed his base on Jeffrey Epstein. Trump has betrayed his base with the big beautiful bill. Windsor, Ontario auto workers say they feel betrayed by Trump's tariffs. Buyer's remorse? Young Trump voters tell Washington Post they feel betrayed by the president. Latino voters are feeling betrayed by Trump. This is not what we voted for, Latinos for Trump say, because Trump had gotten a record number of Latino votes and he betrayed them. Trump betrays the MAGA movement. Candace Owen declares President Trump betrayed the American people, calls him a coward.
Well, let's be clear. Right now, the people applauding Donald Trump are Meghan McCain, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz ran against Donald Trump, and John McCain, with his dying breath, was a never Trumper, with his dying breath. And I remember Meghan McCain standing at his funeral saying, "This country was always great. It never needed to be made great again," to take a stab at Trump, even as she was giving words for her father, which is remarkable, right? So if Trump is aligning himself with the people that didn't support him, and the people that did support him are saying what he's doing is wrong, that doesn't mean that MAGA betrayed Trump. That means that Trump is betraying MAGA, okay? MAGA is a term, make America great again. And it was because the American people felt like our country was in a steep decline while we were being told that we had to build up every other country with programs. We had to spread democracy in the Middle East. That's been a remarkable failure. And at the same time, our veterans are coming home and they're being treated like crap. We talked about the farmers. We talked about the ranchers. That was the vision that Donald Trump painted that made me get behind him. And I took a lot of bullets for that. And I still don't regret voting for him against Kamala Harris because I still believe he was the better candidate. But this is a betrayal, plain and simple. There's no other way to say that. Well, let's speak.
So what do you think's going to happen when an egomaniac, a psychopath, a narcissist has technology in every single human being's body that he can control their future, say the wrong thing, cut you off, take this away from you. Everything's going to be digitized. You don't comply with this or this, we're taking your car. Oh, next month you don't comply, we're going to take your computer. Oh, next month we're going to take, everything's going to be digitized so they can confiscate it. What do you think's going to happen if he's the Antichrist, which I'm 99.999% sure? You know that song by Ronnie Millsap, Pure Love, 99, 44, 100% pure love, 99, 100% he's the AC. So what's going to happen when the man who loves to get even, who believes in an eye for an eye, who says he will wipe the floor with his enemies, has the technology at his hands that he can control and punish humans and have the legal right to kill people that don't go along with his program? How crazy do you think this is going to be? What do you think he's going to do to the people that speak out against him? And it's good to see all the people that are waking up, that are getting off the Trump train, because Trump is manipulating Christians. To prevent voter exploitation, we must realize what tactics Donald Trump uses to wrongfully influence Christians. What did Jesus say, though? For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. For thou shalt arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, the chosen of God. Yes or no are two major policy issues for Trump are to control illegal immigration and secure voting. Yes, controlling illegal immigration and implementing stricter voting security measures were two of the primary policy platforms of Donald Trump's 2024 campaign, frequently highlighted in public appearances and campaign documentation. Yes or no, could an implantable RFID chip be used for immigration and homeland security and voting? Trump's goals. Yes, implantable RFID chips could theoretically be used for immigration tracking, homeland security, and voting, as the technology enables unique, non-contact identification and authentication of individuals. Y'all, Jesus said, don't take no implantable devices. To the people that say Jesus is my savior and Trump is my president, the Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Jesus said, do not take an implanted device. But Trump supporters say Trump wouldn't push an implantable device on us. But people are deifying Trump. To treat, worship, or regard someone or something as a god, or to glorify them to an extreme divine status. It involves elevating a person or a concept of a position of supreme worth, essentially putting them on a pedestal. And I wanted to talk about all these pictures of Trump with Jesus. Y'all, these pictures are not out of the Bible, okay? Holy men of God were not inspired to draw these pictures of Trump with Jesus as a prophecy and put these pictures in the Bible. These are just Trump supporters who are artists that painted these pictures that are influencing people's minds that Trump has been sent from Jesus. Lying signs and wonders to deceive. That if it were possible, even the very elect of God would be deceived. But Trump wouldn't push implantable devices on us. We've already talked about his 6G executive order includes implantable technologies. We've talked about Robert F. Kennedy wants to put wearables on people in 4 years that can evolve into RFID chips. Dr. Oz, who's over Medicaid and Medicare, wants to use RFID chips. Does Trump think executive order winning the race for 6G include technology for implantable devices? Yes, we've already talked about that. Implantable technologies. Implantable technologies. Implantable technology be used to facilitate RFID chip implant voting. Yes, based on current and developing technology, it is technically feasible for 6G networks and implantable RFID technology to be used to facilitate RFID chip implant voting. Does betrayal mean to treat with deceit? Yes, betrayal fundamentally means to treat with deceit, dishonesty, or disloyalty, often involving the violation of trust or a broken promise. It is the act of knowingly violating a relationship, shared values, boundaries, and causing profound emotional pain and breakdown of security. Does the scripture say that the Antichrist shall betray many? Yes, scripture indicates that the Antichrist or the lawless one will betray many auto workers, truckers, farmers, Christians, Jews, Muslims, everybody. Largely through deception, breaking covenants, and causing widespread apostasy during the tribulation. Yes, according to the yes or no, according to the Bible, does the Antichrist betray every group? Yes, according to biblical interpretation of prophecy, the Antichrist is expected to be the ultimate traitor who breaks covenants and betrays almost all groups, including his own followers, allies, and specifically the nation of Israel. Y'all, I've talked about it before. If you're on the Trump train, get off because you're going to be betrayed. Let me drink a sip of this. Hold on. The people that were in Trump's inner circle have all said they feel betrayed by him. Joe Rogan was in the circle. Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, they were all in his inner circle. They all feel betrayed by him. But people that have never met Trump, that just watch him on TV or look at him with these pictures that somebody else painted of him looking like a deity with Jesus, don't think that he can betray them. But have you been betrayed by your best friend? Have you been betrayed by a family member, somebody you knew? Have you been betrayed by a spouse, somebody you thought you trusted, somebody you knew 10, 15, 20 years and they betrayed you? But you don't think a man that's cheated on all of his wives, that's had shady relationships with all kind of people, including Epstein, that lived a life of deception, you don't think he would betray or deceive you? Don't put all your hope and eggs in one basket on Trump. Put your hope in God. GOP senators are warned, don't betray Trump. Trump pushes for executive order loyalty risk undermining the federal workforce and Constitution. Federal workers are being asked to prove their loyalty to Trump's agenda, but history shows that when politics overtakes merit, government performance suffers. So I did a video on this last year. Trump is asking you federal people that are applying for jobs to write an essay on their deep loyalty to Trump. When has a job applicant ever had to write an essay about loyalty to their boss? Donald Trump as Don Corleone, I need loyalty. I expect loyalty. Yes or no? Will the Antichrist demand loyalty, yet betray many? Yes, according to biblical prophecy and interpretations regarding the end times, the Antichrist is described as a figure who will demand total loyalty and worship, and he will also betray many. He will want you to worship him, but he's going to stab everybody in the back. Initially appearing as a charismatic peacemaker, he will break a 7-year covenant in the middle of the period, demonstrating his treacherous nature. He is described as a worthless shepherd and a deceiver who will destroy many while they are at ease. He is expected to betray his followers. Fact sheet: Donald Trump addresses risks associated with Miles Taylor. Eradicating government betrayal. Trump is committed to ending the weaponization of government and believes that those who engage in such conduct should not have access to our nation's secrets. Yes or no, according to the Bible, will the Antichrist betray Christians he pretends to support? Yes, according to biblical prophecy and interpretation, the Antichrist will use deception to gain power, initially presenting himself as a peacemaker or a figure of light before ultimately betraying those who follow him and persecuting believers. The Antichrist is expected to appear charismatic and peaceful, winning over many with smooth words and solving major crises. He is described as coming in peacefully and using flatteries to gain authority. Yes or no, according to the Bible, will the Antichrist betray Christians and kill them if they refuse to worship him? Yes, according to the biblical prophecy in Revelation 13 and other passages, the Antichrist is expected to demand worship and force a mark on people, resulting in the persecution and killing of those often understood to be believers or saints who refuse to worship him. Scripture, ye shall be handed over. The phrase ye shall be handed over are variations like deliver you up, hand you over, refer to a prophecy by Jesus Christ regarding the intense persecution his followers would face. Several scriptures include this warning, including Matthew 24:9, Matthew 10:17, and the King James Version following believers mention followers being delivered up, afflicted, killed, and scourged in synagogues. Luke 21:12 in the New International Version describes being seized, persecuted, and handed over to the synagogue, imprisoned, and brought before rulers because of Jesus' name. These passages speak of believers being handed over to authorities and facing affliction and even death for their faith, and persecution would involve betrayal by family members, friends, and global hatred. These events are also presented as opportunities for testimony before rulers and nations. Jesus assured his followers that the Holy Spirit would guide their words in such situations and that perseverance would lead to salvation. This prophecy is seen as having occurred in the early church, continues to be relevant for believers facing hardships. Jesus said, "A man cannot serve two masters. He will love one and hate the other. Who are you going to stand with?" What did Peter say? We must obey God rather than man. Revelation 13:15. And he had the power with AI, with an implantable RFID chip, with blockchain technology, with 6G. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he called us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of its name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 666. And Jesus warned in Revelation that the people that take the chip are going to get a grievous sore on their body. In Revelation 16:2, the first angel pours out a bowl of God's wrath onto the earth, causing a noisome and grievous sore, painful, foul, malignant ulcer to break out on those who worship the beast and accepted his mark. This punishment signifies divine judgment for apostasy. For whosoever will save his life will lose it. So if you say, oh, I got to take the mark of the beast, I got to eat, I got to protect my family. Whosoever tries to save their life like that in the flesh are going to lose it. And whosoever is willing to lose their earthly life for Jesus' sake will find it. God will give you the eternal death for taking the mark of the beast. And the Antichrist will kill the human body of all those who refuse to take the mark of the beast. But what did Jesus say? Fear not them that can kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both the soul and body in hell. We must obey God rather than man. Okay? Many people are going to take this mark. They're going to cave. They're going to take their mark. But if they're trying to save their life, they're going to lose it. They're going to end up in eternal damnation. And this few little people, narrow is the way that leads to life, and few there be that find it. They might lose their life, but he that loses his life, who is willing to lose his life for Jesus' sake, will find eternal life. You can't say, well, I'm going to be scared to stand up to the Antichrist. Jesus says, whosoever shall deny me before men, I will deny before my Father which is in heaven. You can't say, oh, I'm scared to tell them no. I'm scared to tell them no. I'm scared to say I love Jesus. Jesus said, if you're ashamed of me, I'm not going to confess you to the Father. And what is the first group of people listed in Revelation 21 who are going to be thrown alive into hell? But the cowards, the faithless, the detestable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their share will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. The cowards. You have to stand for truth and righteousness. Because do you want to share eternity with the devil? And the devil that deceiveth them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and his false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Back to the courthouse. Yes or no? Could arson of a courthouse by a dictator be a political action to hide truth or usher in a new system? Historically and politically, the destruction of a courthouse or legal archives by a dictator regime can serve as a calculated action to hide evidence of crimes, eliminate legal obstacles, and usher in a new system. Yes or no? Will the Antichrist usher in a new political system, just like a dictator? Yes, according to biblical prophecy, and specifically in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and Daniel, the Antichrist is described as a future global leader who will establish a new totalitarian political and economic system. And y'all almost fell out when I saw this. E-voting system based on blockchain technology. Does crypto voting include crypto? Crypto voting. Does crypto voting include crypto? Yes, crypto voting can include cryptocurrency, primarily in the context of decentralized governance where owning cryptocurrency, specifically tokens, grants voter rights, or in campaigns funded by crypto assets. Y'all, this is if you own specific tokens. Token-based voting. In a decentralized autonomous organization, governance tokens act as voting shares. Holding more cryptocurrency tokens often gives a user more weight in voting. Our votes are not going to be the same. And this why all of the global elites are investing in cryptocurrencies. Yes or no? Could Trump's executive order support crypto voting? Yes, as of 2025-2026, Donald Trump's administration has issued executive orders that, while not directly implementing federal crypto voting, actively promote the blockchain technologies and digital asset infrastructure necessary for such systems. And there are the executive orders that support it. Yes or no? Could crypto voting incorporate implantable RFID chips in citizens? Yes, it is technically possible for crypto-based voting to incorporate implantable RFID chips. So is all this connected? Trump riding through Rome, Georgia, in Marjorie Taylor Greene's territory, right after she's jabbing on him, courts have been set ablaze before for cover-ups or to send a message. Did Trump send a message to Marjorie Taylor Greene? Do dictators send their enemies a message via destroying buildings? Yes, dictators and authoritarian regimes historically and currently use the destruction of buildings, homes, and cultural landmarks as a method of psychological warfare to send a message to enemies and intimidate the population. Will Marjorie Taylor Greene go silent after this? Was the Floyd County Courthouse a cultural landmark in Rome? Because we read dictators burn down cultural landmarks as a method of psychological warfare. Was the Floyd County Courthouse a cultural landmark that could be used to implement psychological warfare on people. Yes, the historic Floyd County Courthouse in Rome, Georgia, built 1892-1893, was widely considered a significant cultural historic landmark. Is she going to keep her mouth shut now? Did he send a message to her? Were voting records destroyed? Is there a connection to the Orange Man? Voting is about to change. He told us, I love you, beautiful Christian. Get out and vote. Get out your house. Get out and vote. Because in 4 years, we're going to have it fixed and you'll never have to do it again. RFID chips, implants, e-voting, crypto voting. Do y'all see? You cannot take any implanted RFID chip. You will damn your soul. Put your confidence in God, your confidence in Jesus, not Donald Trump or the Orange Man. He's going to betray many. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. If you appreciate the content, would you prayerfully consider supporting the ministry?